So I just want to start the video off saying thank you. I hit 100,000 subscribers last night, which is absolutely crazy. I never thought that would happen. I never thought I would hit 10,000, let alone 100. I remember thinking, 10,000 would be my lifetime goal. That'll be as high as I ever get. And to get as high as this channel has, it's insane. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate you guys. There's some crazy stuff coming over the next year with that COPA stuff. Hopefully it's all kind of exaggerated and things will be okay. We'll see what happens. But regardless, it's been a wild ride, and I'm very thankful for all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. And just thank you in general. So anyway, let's get on to the matter at hand. We have some more announcements. Looks like there is a 2022 Star Wars movie. It looks like Rian Johnson may or may not be the director. It kind of looks like he's not, according to his own words. And once again, he's throwing shade at Star Wars fans. Let's go ahead and take a look at what's going on. So Kathleen Kennedy is still making headlines. That Rolling Stones interview that she gave has really produced a lot of content. And there's a lot of good memes going around really showing just how clueless she is when it comes to Star Wars. Callum Jones put a really good meme out. He says, I fixed a meme using my own shelf. Never mind the comics, video games, and TV shows. This is just the novels. Don't intend to cover these types of articles on my channel, but I am aware of this. Hashtag EU awareness. And that's, of course, referring to this line, which a lot of people went ahead and made fun of, even myself. I made a video on this topic. So this was her quote. Every one of these movies. Oh, so she's referring to the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, and closing it out. So this, in reference to creating the Disney movies, she says, every one of these movies is particularly a hard nut to crack. There's no source material. We don't have comic books. We don't have 800-page novels. Kathleen Kennedy, Rolling Stone, November 2019. And then this guy takes a picture of his Star Wars novels. And as you can see, Kathleen Kennedy has no idea what she's talking about. And her cluelessness has really played a part in damaging the franchise like she has. She's absolutely ruined Star Wars, the way that she's handled things, the way that she's treated the franchise as her own political kind of roller coaster to do whatever she wants with. The Force is female, so on and so on. She's really done a number on this franchise, and I don't know if it can be repaired. However, I will say Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau have done a hell of a job trying to patch it up. Mandalorian has been great. Star Wars Rebels has been pretty good. I hear Star Wars Resistance is a pile of trash. The television side seems pretty healthy. The movies, not so much. And I do believe that the director of the 2022 movie will be either Dave or John. It'll probably be one of the two, and I will look for one of them to probably take over Kennedy's job, to be honest. She's out, from what I hear, in 2021. I think they're going to announce a successor, and that she's probably going to want to, hand quotations, move on to something else. The saying will be, I've done all I can do, and I feel that I've left the franchise in a healthy place. Therefore, I will be taking this time to train my successor for the next year, which will, of course, be her sitting in a broom closet, which they're going to call her new luxurious office, and then they're going to move either John or Dave into hers, kick out that story time group they have, which is made up of absolutely nothing but clowns, and really turn the ship around on this thing. And I think if they do those, they can possibly pull that off. Now, the biggest question here is, of course, Rian Johnson, who is reportedly not the director of the 2022 movie. In fact, he's said to still be in talks. We've also heard reports that he's been told not to say anything. He's been told to shut his mouth because he's been running around for the past 2 years saying, oh yeah, I'm absolutely making a Star Wars trilogy. Did you hear my pitch? I said it's going to take place in another galaxy.
Is this true?
Yes, it's true. This man has no dick.
So I want to be clear on something. I don't think Rian Johnson is gone. As long as Kathleen Kennedy is in charge of Star Wars, you're not going to see Rian Johnson go anywhere. In fact, I fully believe that he's going to get a movie as long as she's there. However, because her future is so in flux, they're not going to guarantee it just yet. And I think that if she is out, he's out. But if she's going to stay in past 2021, he's still in. However, they've met a middle ground. He's so toxic that they have him saying nothing. He won't confirm or deny that he's off. In fact, he says he's still in talks, and I'm going to get to that in just a second. And they clear that up. They say right here, Johnson allegedly still in talks to develop his own Star Wars trilogy that is entirely separate from the original saga, which is now considered movies 1 through 9. This 2022 film slot was initially meant for the Game of Thrones guys, but that duo parted ways with Lucasfilm to focus on other projects. Now, keep in mind, this does not mean he's off anything. I just believe the 2022 movie is definitely going to go to John or Dave, and they're going to finally get their chance. Well, I think Dave, as good as a job John's done, I think if anybody deserves the shot, it's Dave. He's got a long track record going all the way back to Clone Wars. I think if anybody deserves a shot at a movie, it's him. I think John deserves a shot as well, but they should give Dave a chance to do something. That guy should get a chance over Rian Johnson, but Rian Johnson's not going anywhere, folks. Not as long as Kathleen Kennedy's in there. They just need The Rise of Skywalker to be successful. And the best way to do that is to tell Rian Johnson to shut his mouth. Unfortunately, he's not doing that. As you can see, he's still throwing shade. So Rian Johnson has a movie coming out called Knives Out. And for a lot of the promotion for this movie, he's been throwing a lot of shade at Star Wars fans. This guy's ego was shattered with The Last Jedi and the way it was received by fans. He's constantly going out and trying to validate himself, saying, well, I remember that The Empire Strikes Back wasn't so well received, but it went on to be one of the greatest Star Wars movies ever. Kind of saying that people are going to eat their words and enjoy this movie in a few years. I think not, sir. I think not. But he's really been using Knives Out to show his true colors, going as far to say that one of the characters was inspired by toxic fandom, meaning the fandom menace and people that kind of had a large amount to say about his crappy movie. He really has not received any of his criticism very well. Though he shows it day in and day out, particularly with this interview. He's thrown a lot of shade at toxic fandom, even going as far as to say that they're bigots recently. Because when he says toxic fandom, believe me, he's going with the istophobe rhetoric that they always use, saying that they're all a bunch of istophobes. And it's been really great to see people waking up on that. John Boyega recently woke up on that and said, wow, maybe they don't all hate me. No one hated him. In fact, most people agree that he was the most underused character. Rian Johnson totally put him out the window, wanted nothing to do with him, and destroyed that character's storyline. Hopefully they can fix it with The Rise of Skywalker. But anyway, he keeps dunking on fans. It seems like everywhere he goes, he gets asked about this. But I did want to point out how political he's made this movie. Now, this is his own movie. He can do whatever he wants with it, right? Now, Star Wars, he had to be a little bit more subtle. But if you paid attention during that movie, you notice none of the stuff in that movie was subtle. As I think one of my favorite examples is how every commanding person in the Resistance under him was a whammon. And all of their assistants were men in tight little outfits, following them around with clipboards, basically. And when you go and you look at the stuff that Rian Johnson says in interviews, it comes apparent that the dude is Mr. Super Woke, Orange Man Bad, blah, blah, blah. I mean, he literally says it right here. So the interviewer asks him, the film has lots of references to the current Orange Man Bad-based political climate. Critics have been picking up a lot of that on the political parts. And he says, I'd hope so. It's not very subtle. This isn't a subtle film. Like Star Wars The Last Jedi was. Because he can do whatever he wants here. He doesn't have to worry about destroying it too much. Why was it important for you to include these political elements? Once I imagined sitting in America in 2019. It can't just be about giving it a modern skin and giving everyone cell phones. To me, that's only exciting if you're going to very openly address the stuff that we're yelling about. The check marks. You guys are the ones yelling about it. Most normal people aren't. Obviously, there's a perspective on everything that's happening, but hopefully it's being presented in a way that we can watch it and laugh a little bit. That's not what people want in movies. We see these Gil Woketh, Get Broketh movies lately, and they've all been going broketh rather quickly. I imagine that Knives Out is going to go broketh. Now, we'll have to wait and see, but I promise you, I will make at least one video laughing at that movie if it bombs, if it does. And I'm hoping it does. It has no competition, which could help it. So we'll see. So let's get to what's going on. There's more in here, but I just wanted to highlight that on how, this is how this guy thinks. If this guy has shackles off of him, he will go full-blown Orange Man bad agenda in his movies. So we go down here, and he says, what's the status of the other Star Wars trilogy you were working on? I'm still talking to Lucasfilm. They haven't announced anything. So there you go. So this is the big keynote on him talking about Star Wars. He always says, I'm still talking to Lucasfilm. They haven't announced anything. And that really does back up the rumor that came out and said he was told to shut his mouth. But keep in mind, he was only told to be ambiguous about it. Never told he had to say no, which does confirm to me he's not going anywhere. As long as Kathleen Kennedy is in there, he's not going anywhere. And he's going to sit there and be quiet for now. But keep in mind, I want you to know he's still allowed to dunk on fans. And he does it. I'm going to link this in the description if you want to read it for yourself. But there's questions here about toxic fandom, rumors that the Game of Thrones duo left because of that. I think that's not true. I think they left because, well, money. Netflix gave them a ton of money. So he says to the response to that, I can't speak to everyone I can't speak to the experience that anyone else has had. I would caution that other people's sets are like other people's marriages. You think you know what's going on with them, but the only thing that's absolutely true is that you're wrong. I can only speak to my experience, which was an absolute dream from top to bottom. So, kissing a little booty, kissing Kathleen Kennedy's booty and Bob Iger's booty, saying that he had a great time. But here's where it gets in, There was chatter due to toxic fandom. What was your experience like with that kind of truant? You always have to contextualize how small a part of the fandom that section is. So he's saying that, the fandom menace is irrelevant basically here. They don't mean anything. They're a bunch of nobodies. Their thoughts don't matter. I'm not talking about people who like or dislike a particular movie. I'm talking about the people who have dedicated themselves to abusing people who are involved in the films. So this is the big narrative, that people that have been criticizing his films, are trolls and hateful people, when really they're just passionate fans. But he doesn't get that, okay? He totally labels everybody istophobes. You can see it in his agenda in his movies. It's so small, but it gets blown up. Having been in a hurricane for the past 2 years, I can tell you that 95% of what I get, even on Twitter, is lovely and thoughtful and engaged, even when people don't like my movie. Having said that, it's a problem that every type of fandom is dealing with. It's almost a byproduct of this system that is the internet. It's almost a problem that every type of fandom is dealing with. Maybe that's because clowns like you come in and ruin every fandom. I think that's probably the problem there. But this is just one small example of this guy. He can't shut his mouth. He's so bitter that people didn't like his movie. He didn't expect any kind of backlash. He thought people would just accept it and move on because the dude's head is humongous. But he's not going anywhere. That was the main point. As long as Kathleen Kennedy is still in there, this guy's still going to be dunking on fans, and he's still going to get to make his movie. It's pure evidence that this series and this franchise is still in trouble. And until we get the Wicked Witch of the East out, I don't think you're going to see things get fixed. Now, I do think if Kathleen Kennedy is removed, he's going to be gone. I think it'll be the first thing they announce that his trilogy's canceled. I do believe that. But if she's renewed and still in there, they will officially announce his trilogy. Mark my words, bet on it. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on Rian Johnson. What do you think about him? Do you think he is gone? Do you think he isn't? Do Do you disagree with me? Do you agree with me? Let me know. Give me your thoughts on Kathleen Kennedy. Give me your thoughts on Star Wars, the state of Star Wars right now. Give me your thoughts on The Mandalorian, Jedi Fallen Order, the rise of Skywalker. Give me your thoughts on that. And remember, comments and likes equal engagement points. Very helpful for channels. Leave those. Very much appreciated. Thank you again for 100K. Love you guys. Share the video. Hit the notification bell. Make sure you're still subscribed. And subscribe if you're new. Anyway, that's all. See ya. Also, if you want to help support the channel, check out my Teespring store. There's a link in the description. You can find some merchandise in there that you might want to check out.